for 10:30 p.m. tonight. If you could please use the microphones provided.
Hi, Ange, you all right?
Good, thanks, Mark.
What's the team use? Solanke, Bergville, Maddison?
Yeah, Lucas obviously looks like the injury is significant enough to probably keep him out for the rest of the season. He just tweaked the ligaments in his ankle, and so he's out. Dom's not too bad. He's still a bit sore from last night, but we don't think it's anything serious. Obviously a doubt for the weekend, but as I said, we're hoping it'll settle down pretty quickly. Matt is a bit more of a concern because it's a knee. We've sent him for a scan and just waiting to hear the outcome.
And Son?
Sonny's working hard. He's he's progressing. Still doing the individual, but he's out on the grass, feels better every day. So he's we'll see how he's going by Thursday, whether he's available for Thursday.
It was a really good night last night. What was the general feeling within the squad? I know obviously conceding that goal, but what was the overall mood in the dressing room?
Yeah, I think the lads, were pretty pleased with the way we played, and obviously what you want after the first game is if you possibly get an advantage, it's always a good thing. But what you do want is to make sure that you put in a strong performance. And similar to the Frankfurt game, I don't think we got the reward our performance deserved, but when you put in a performance, it gives you belief and confidence about what's to come. And it's halfway in the tie, but we've given ourselves a good chance of progressing if we can perform the same way.
A lot of players have had criticism this season, obviously because of the league form, but were you proud of what you saw from them last night in some of those performances? Yeah,
I think all the way through Europe, I think we've hit some really good levels and played some really good football and faced some difficult challenges and overcome them in a real kind of composed manner. And I was super proud. Obviously, it was a difficult day for us last week on the weekend, and you never want to sort of dismiss those experiences. You need to learn from them. They need to make you sort of angry and disappointed, and we certainly were after the Liverpool game. And I didn't sort of let the players off the hook with that, but at the same time, we had to refocus pretty quickly in what was a really important game last night. And like I said, I was really pleased with the players' mentality, which has been really strong all the way through the European campaign.
You also mentioned how much you enjoyed the atmosphere and the supporters. I don't know if you saw the Wolves manager goes to the pub every time Wolves win. Is that something you'd consider if Spurs end up winning the Europa League? Down the high road, down the pub with the fans?
I'd have to be careful about what pub I walked into, I reckon, mate, at the moment. But our fans were brilliant last night, and again throughout the whole European campaign, and it does make a massive difference. It certainly does. I don't think that early goal was by accident. It was generated by, the boys. I even felt it when they came back in from the warm up. They could feel the energy in the stadium. They walk out, sea of white, singing at the top of their lungs, and it's no coincidence that we got off to a great start. So they played a massive role last night, and they've got a big role to play for us for the rest of the season.
Jake.
Hi. Fair to say, last night and certainly the second leg against Frankfurt, you've adopted a style that we haven't seen much of in the Premier League, perhaps more willing to give up possession at times as well. Is that a style we could perhaps see more going forward in Premier League football?
No, I don't think so. I think, like I said, after the Frankfurt game, sometimes it's just what the game needs, and Europe's very different to the Premier League and what you face in the Premier League. And I don't think I think we were actually quite composed in the ball last night. We rarely sort of gave up possession. I think we were probably less aggressive as we usually are with the ball. We went over the top a couple of times, but that was with good effect. It wasn't sort of just blazing into spaces. It was things that we designed, and I thought we showed great composure on the ball. We slowed it down at times last night, which I think we needed to, because Bodo really like a high tempo game, and I thought the lads handled it really well, and I thought our pressing, for the most part was really good too, because again, it didn't really allow them to get much rhythm, and they only got into our box 2 times, I think, the whole game. So I think overall it was a really good sort of execution of our plan.
Obviously, with Lucas Bergville now being out for the rest of the season, perhaps a chance for Yves Bassuma to kind of step into those shoes. You said after the game last night that he's almost or nearly back to the Biss we know he can be. What does that look like as far as you're concerned? What would the best of him be?
Well, what you saw last night, it was really committed to sort of fulfilling his role in terms of I thought him and Rodri had key roles last night because, again, Bodo kind of side who, with their two advanced midfielders like to sort of get into little pockets of space and cause problems. And I thought, Biss and Rodri just worked really hard to deny them that space. And then on the ball, again, I think both of them showed the composure that we know they have. Biss is such a good technical player, particularly in tight areas. It's just, I think I've said before, at times the game just passes him by, and I feel like he needs to make more of an impact in games. And last night he did that, and when he's at his best, that's what he does. He gets himself to the action, he gets himself to where we need him, and it was to credit to him because obviously he hasn't played a lot recently, but he was really important for us last night.
Just lastly, can we expect plenty more changes then for the West Ham game?
Yeah, likely. Yeah, I think it's important for us. Because of we're all, obviously it's a quick turnaround, and we've had our issues this year. We continue to have issues because it's just the way our season's going, and at the same time, it just goes to show you how important it is that the players who are playing are ready to go. Like you said with Biss last night, so. We'll make changes to make sure that we put in a strong performance. We want to put in a strong performance. We're disappointed with last week, but also give some players a rest, but also get some players up to speed because who knows who we're going to need for next Thursday night.
You've been so unfortunate with innocuous training ground injuries this season. I mean, what exactly happened with Lucas? Was it just an awkward turn or a tackle?
Yeah, just something you see all the time. That wasn't a tackle. He was on his own. He just went to turn and just his ankle gave way. So it's just one of those things. Similarly to Dom and a couple of others we've had a training, we're just things that happen.
And obviously, he's a teenager, a potential final on the cards European. What do you say to someone so young that clearly must have been absolutely crushed by it?
Yeah, hugely disappointed. Well, there's not much you can say except for, I think every experience in life and in football, makes you stronger, makes you appreciate what you have. And he's got an unbelievable career ahead of him for sure. But I say to the guys all the time, we've got to take what's before us now because we can all assume that it might happen next year or the year after, but you just don't know. That's sometimes life works in mysterious ways, and it's denied Lucas the opportunity to play in a big game last night. He's been a massive contributor to us, but I've got no doubt he'll come back stronger from that. And like I said, it's sometimes we look at footballers and their careers and we think they've got it all good, but every player has to go through setbacks at different times for different reasons, and it's all part of what makes them stronger and allows them to grow, and I'm sure it will with Lucas.
Before about Pedro Porro's fitness, but his quality on the ball. I mean, the ability, the diagonal balls, the crosses. What's it like to have kind of almost like a playmaker as your right back? Really?
Yeah, I think really important, and it's something we're kind of continually working on to get him on the ball in more sort of key areas, and also work on his positioning a little bit as well. And he has such quality on, with his ability to hit the longer pass, but also the quality of his crosses. Every time he puts the ball in the box, whether that's a set piece or just a cross in general, it causes opposition's problems. And he's been, he's like I said, he's played more than anyone else this year. He's been unbelievable for us, not just in his durability, but which has been important because with so many players going down, we've needed at least a few to be durable like he has, but also the quality show.
George.
Hi, Ange. You've obviously made a lot of changes in the Premier League around these European games, and you've not got the results in the Premier League, but you have got the results in Europe. You kind of feel a sense that even though it's not working in the Premier League, this is working to get the club to the goal it wants.
Look, I just don't think we had any other choice. I just don't, like I said, we can try and protect players, but it's just the way our season's gone. And even in recent times, I think we've managed the squad really well. Where all our players are in good physical conditions. The injuries we've had recently are all, stuff that you just can't, out of your control. And I think, we can't, put players at risk in the league when we know what's the importance of what we have in front of us in terms of the Europa League, and like I said, balancing that off with guys having to get game time as well. So there's no doubt it's when you're making 7, 8, 9 changes that I make, that has an effect on the team in the Premier League for sure, because you're usually playing against teams that are rested, that are settled, and it's a massive ask. But I think it's been necessary. It's painful, unfortunately, but hopefully. We get to reap the rewards of that.
And Archie Gray played last week at Anfield, obviously a tough afternoon for him. How has he kind of reacted this week, and how much will he learn from that type of experience?
Yeah, look, he'll learn enormously, and again, that's another example of no career is linear. Just because you start well doesn't mean it always goes well. There are always challenges for young players, and look, Archie's been outstanding for us this year, and he was disappointed, with the way the Liverpool game went, but he's cracked down to training now, and he'll get another opportunity, and he'll grow from that. I think he'll learn from that. I think the more we expose our young players to those kind of environments, we've seen the growth in others, and including him this year. And I've got no doubt he'll come back stronger than ever. And again, it's all part of the process of becoming the footballer he wants to be.
And just finally, with next week's second legs, obviously on an artificial surface, I remember with Tamworth, you trained the day before, I think, on your own dome. Would the plan be to train on the dome kind of at the start of next week, or would it just be to go to Bodo?
No, because they're all kind of different. So we'll just travel there the day before and train on their surface, because they're all kind of a little bit different from each other. And it's more just the familiarity, even with the dimensions of the pitch and stuff. So we'll just train the day before there.